want to start tonight by talking not about poll numbers or attack ads, but about something that until this morning I really couldn't put my finger on. The vanishing prerequisite of competency and shame. Now, like a lot of you, I've had a hard time making any sense of the nonsense that passes for fact and the seeming lunatics on furlough from the asylum that have been raising their hands in triumph in primary after primary after primary. Now, I've reconciled with the fact that in the internet age, outright lies like death panels, birther conspiracies, Muslim president, they can gain traction. I foolishly thought that ethics, especially at a fair and balanced network, still mattered. Stupid me. But that still didn't explain how candidate after candidate from Minnesota to Nevada to Arizona to Kentucky to Delaware, Connecticut, New York, and so on, how they keep winning Republican nominations when at any other time they wouldn't be allowed to serve on the local PTA. At no other point in modern political history have so many unqualified and unhinged candidates become standard bearers for their party. And I think I know why. It's because of this lady. A pit bull with lipstick, head mama grizzly, whatever self-anointed nickname she's going by today, Sarah Palin has become the unquestioned king and queen maker of the grand old party. The party of Lincoln and Reagan now takes their cues from the wingnut from Mozilla. Now, this worries me, not so much because I don't think that she knows what the heck she's talking about or that she's dead wrong on just about every policy position she's taken, but because she so proudly champions the idea that competency is for losers. Now, during the campaign, we all learned that Sarah, she didn't like to read.
And when it comes to establishing your worldview, I was curious, what newspapers and magazines did you regularly read before you were tapped for this to stay informed and to understand the world?
I've read most of them, again, with a great appreciation for the press, for the media.
But like what one specifically, I'm curious that you...
all of them, any of them that have been in front of me over all these years. I have a vast variety of sources where we get our news.
Yeah, right. She also doesn't know much that's not written on the palm of her hand. We also learned that in the fall of 2008, she's not a big fan of the truth when it comes to herself or reckless character assassinations she threw out seemingly by every hour. But if, like me, you thought her 15 minutes struck 12 after the election, you were wrong. Sarah decided that reality TV, it was a lot more fun and less work than doing her job, so she quit her elected duties as governor of Alaska with years left on her first term, and she went Hollywood. Turns out, she knew her audience better than I did. Sarah tapped into the fear and the anger of the voters out there, and she offered a third way. Candidates like her, out of the beltway types, not afraid to step on the toes of D.C. establishment. Sounds good, right? Well, she left out, of course, that one was nuttier than the next. In Kentucky, Rand Paul, he wants to roll back civil rights. In Nevada, Sharon Angle says people, those that are unemployed, almost 20% in her state, they're that way because they're spoiled. In New York, good old Carl Palladino, beyond being a bigot, he believes anyone on welfare ought to be sent to former prisons to be taught hygiene. And whatever you do, don't forget Sarah's #1 protege, one Ms. Christine O'Donnell. Only in the summer of discontent could a woman who fellow Republicans labeled delusional, nutty, and unelectable, only this year could she be their party's choice for United States Senator. The GOP can thank Sarah for that. In Miss Palin's infinite wisdom, a game changer in Washington is a woman who, get this, has never held elected office, never really held a job, earned less than $6 grand last year, paid her rent through campaign contributions, campaigned against masturbation, sent staff into her bushes, I'm not making this up, to see if she's being followed, lied about her diploma not by a week or a month, but by 17 years, she got it last month, and believes scientists, they're creating mice with human brains. To put it politely, this is not a person remotely qualified for the job. That's the nicest way I can put it. But in today's day and age, where Sarah Palin is a sage, this qualifies as change. Now, I want you to listen to Sarah Palin's advice to O'Donnell going forward.
she's going to have to learn very quickly to dismiss what some of her handlers want. Remember what happened to me in the
Absolutely.
VP? Remember I used to have to sneak in my phone calls.
I remember
to you
getting a call from you at like 11:30 on a Sunday night. I thought it was a prank call, but it was you. Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
She's going to have to learn that. Yeah, very quickly. She's going to have to dismiss that, go with her gut, get out there, speak to the American people, speak through Fox News.
That's right. Fox News, that's where we got to run the government through. Is this really, think about this. I don't care your politics. Is this really what any of us want from our elected officials today? Now, regardless, I don't care what party you are. Do we want dimwits who get their news from the Inquirer calling Bill O'Reilly, Hannity, or Glenn Beck for guidance? Wasn't it Ronald Reagan who once called his beloved GOP a big tent party where all different ideas had a place? Well, by kicking out all the moderates and replacing them with circus acts, I don't think that's what the great communicator had in mind. Now, if you haven't noticed, we the people are in trouble today. We're mired in a recession. We're a nation at war. We got states staring at bankruptcies from coast to coast and programs unsustainable for the long run. There are no easy answers and no easy fixes. Nobody in their right mind believes there's a silver bullet out there to restore employment overnight. Nobody, I pray to God, thinks that 15% of Americans, men, women, children, living below the poverty line is acceptable. No one, I hope, thinks more than 50 million American men, women, and children without health insurance is okay, or that we should keep letting the financial industry or British Petroleum or Massey Mines keep regulating themselves. No one, I hope, thinks that tax cuts for millionaires, that's the biggest thing we ought to be worrying about right now. We have real challenges that now more than ever ought to require real debate from all sides for some real solutions. But what have we gotten here? We got talking points from wackadoos coming from Fox that have us talking about birther theories, a socialist president who hates white people, and a government that needs to listen to Joe McCarthy and the Red Scare more than FDR. Now, I wish all this was a bad joke and I can have fun with this on TV every night. But this crap gets worse every single day. Palin and friends, they're pushing a false populism that would screw the very people hurting the most right now in this recession, the middle class. Somehow, a message of deregulation after systemic failure and more millionaire welfare, that's power to the people. You betcha I've had it. Now, if you have had it with incumbents, I get it, believe me, I do. But don't think for a minute that picking the first clown in a straitjacket can't make things worse. I promise you, it will. Thank you very much for letting me get that off my chest.